Hello Guides family, my name is Matt, and today we're going to be looking at some of the potential changes coming to Act 3 of Valorant. With some new developments and even some reveals from Riot themselves, Act 3 is shaping up to be quite an interesting one. But before we dive into all those juicy details, you guys know what time it is. It is of course time for our question of the day. For today's question, we want you to let us know what you think the most interesting addition or change coming in Act 3 is. And to do that, make sure to stick around for the entire video to hear all about it. Alright, without further ado, let's jump right into this video. It turns out that Riot is going to be releasing a brand new map with Act 3, a little bit ahead of schedule. As we can see in this tweet from Anna Donlon, aka Riot Supercakes, apparently, due to the amazing amount of feedback and love they've gotten for Valorant, they're going to be releasing Icebox and Act early. Originally, maps were supposed to be released with the start of every new episode, and an agent with the release of every new act. So I guess that begs the question, if we are getting this map early, what is going to happen to the new agent that we were supposed to get? You avid Pro Guides fam might remember that we talked slightly about some of the leaks that we saw in regards to the new agent, and it's possible that the agent just simply isn't done yet, as we've had very little info about them from either leaks or from Riot themselves. However, according to a now deleted tweet from Valorant Leaks on Twitter, it would seem that we would be getting the new agent a little bit later. This also seems to be correlated by a tweet from Bertiex, the senior brand manager for Valorant, in which he says that the Valorant dev teams know just how much the community has wanted a new map. So they are going to have to delay the new agent release and that they won't be available at the start of Act 3. However, it also seems like there is a lot of confusion going around, and that might not be the whole story. For full transparency, Valorant Leaks seems to have removed that tweet because they believe it to be inaccurate, and it seems that everyone at Riot might not be on the same page as they pointed out in this tweet. So it is looking possible that we might not even get an agent in Act 3, and they might be delayed until Episode 2, which would make sense with the lack of information that we have about them and the fact that we know Riot put a lot of their team into developing the new map. On the other hand, we have the senior brand manager saying that there is a chance that the new agent could come out in this act, only a bit later into the act, which is exactly what Valorant Leaks said before they withdrew their information. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if they did have to push the agent back until Episode 2. Creating and playtesting a new map is no small feat, and Riot probably learned quite a few things from Ascent's release that they wanted to implement or fix, or even do more testing for Icebox. If we don't end up getting a new agent this act, I'm just going to ask that you all please hold your pitchforks and your torches and remember that the dev team deserves weekends off as well. They listened to our feedback and got us a new map 2 months ahead of schedule because they saw how much the Valorant community wanted more maps. And I think they deserve to be congratulated for the amount of time and effort it must have taken to get it done that far ahead of schedule. If we do end up getting a new agent this act, I just want to make sure that everyone over at Riot is getting enough sleep, because pushing a new map and a new agent at the same time requires an insane amount of work hours to make sure it goes smoothly. And even with all this in the works, we still have more information on things that Riot is working on. If you have been on Twitter recently, you have probably noticed just how many people have been begging for leaderboards, and for good reason. After you hit Radiant, it can become quite boring because you don't have any other ranks to go for, and the leaderboard would give those Radiant players something to work toward. Well, in this tweet from Valorant Leaks, we can actually see the leaderboard that Riot is working on right now. It looks like it's going to be separated by act, and will display the top 500 players in your region. It is unknown at the moment if you can view the top 500 players from other regions as well, but at the moment I'm sure that a lot of you are just going to be happy to see that Riot is actually making a leaderboard. The leaderboard will display ranking, a rating that is currently unknown in how it is calculated, your player name and title, and lastly how many games you've won. Currently the leaderboard honestly looks pretty slick, and if Riot already has this good of a leaderboard, well I can't wait to see how it looks when it releases. That does bring us to the downside of this leaderboard though. With information provided by Valorant Leaks, it seems that this leaderboard will be coming with the release of Episode 2 and not with Act 3. It seems like Riot wants an extra 2 months to work on polishing and making the leaderboard work properly, probably among other things, so don't expect to get the leaderboard in this act. I am glad to see that Riot was listening to the high-level players who managed to grind to Radiant and still want more to grind for. Finally today, we are going to be talking about the dev diary that was just released a couple of days ago. This dev diary tackles some of the competitive changes that will be coming in Act 3 and Episode 2, including reducing the pool of ranks that you can queue with from 6 ranks to 3. That means that if you are Diamond 3, you will only be able to queue with up to Immortal 3, and not below Plat 3. Not only that, but Riot will also be adding the ability for you to select what servers you want to queue up for. So no more accidentally getting West Coast servers if you're on the East Coast of the US. And hopefully for our international friends, you can finally make sure that you aren't going to get placed in a server with people that have 200 ping and speak in a different language. In Episode 2, Riot will try to push Immortal and Radiant rank matches to only be able to queue solo and duo. This is to try and help prevent the large fluctuation in skill and teamwork at high levels, since sometimes you'll have a team of Immortal players that will all solo queued against a 5-stack, and that's just not fun for anyone. Riot also understands that people do want a queue system that they can use to play with their friends, and despite earlier dev diaries, it is starting to look like Riot might take a similar approach to League of Legends and make one solo duo queue and one 4 or 5-stack queue, so that no matter how you want to play, you can do so without other people feeling like it is unfair. There was a lot of interesting information in this dev diary, and we definitely recommend you guys go check it out and watch it for yourselves. Personally, I really like the changes that they're thinking about making, as playing against a 5-stack as a solo player really does suck, and it looks like Riot really does want to try and fix that. So with all the information that Riot has given to us already, it is hard to not be excited for the future. With Act 3 right around the corner, we're going to be getting a new map with probably some quality of life changes to ranked and other aspects of the game. Plus, already hearing a bit about what Riot wants to change for Episode 2 is really interesting, because we can be pretty sure that they aren't going to spoil the juicy things that they're adding in Episode 2 yet. So there is a pretty good chance that we could see quite a lot of new or interesting things coming to Valorant within the next few months. If you felt like Valorant was getting a bit dry, or you didn't have the same drive to grind ranked anymore, I think Act 3 might be the turning point for the game. Of course, it is still way too early to say for sure, but all I know is that I am pretty hyped for it. Especially the change where you can only queue with players within 3 ranks of you. I can say I'm getting pretty tired of getting silvers or golds in plat and diamond matches, and I'm sure they aren't having any fun in those games either. So this just really seems like a win-win for everyone. Well guys, that is all we have for you today. Remember to leave a comment with what you think the most interesting change coming in Act 3 or Episode 2 is. And while you're down there, don't forget to drop a like if you liked the video, and maybe even hit that subscribe button. We put out new videos just like this one every single day. And the best way to stay notified is by subscribing and ringing that notification bell. With the release of Act 3, we'll be dropping a patch notes and tier list video, and you definitely don't want to miss that. Anyways, remember to stay safe out there, and I will see you all again very soon.